Hey everybody, Coach John here. I want to do a quick video on eating on holidays. Labor Day is tomorrow. A lot of you are cooking out today and tomorrow, but I want to give you a quick tip on that. The first thing you want to always do when eating at these things is always eat proteins first. That means your meats. But I want you to do it slightly different. If there's a lot of pork on the plate, I want you to consider pork a fat, not necessarily a protein. And I'll tell you why. Is because even the leanest meat of pork has so much fat in it, like kind of almost like a steak, unless you trim off the fat, that it's so dominating over the protein that you'll eat a lot of pork thinking, oh, I'm getting all this protein. But really you're getting so much fat with it that it increases your calories, you go above your calorie input, and or your body doesn't know how to process fat like that. A lot of times when you eat these foods ad hoc, so let's say, I said it loud, sorry about that. I know a lot of times when you eat these foods that you're not used to eating, you're like, you may be looking at your calories, you're like, oh, but even though I had pork today and my fats are really high, I still stayed under my calorie. That's very important in the first rule of thumb. Second rule though is, if your body's not used to processing fats on a daily basis, and that much at that time, it may not process it all and just store it. So think about that when you eat different kind of foods too. So have you been eating it and your body used to processing it and stuff like that? I'll get into more of that later once you create a very clean eating healthy habit. A lot of different things happen in the future with your ability to eat these bad days or whatever, and your body adapts. It's really cool. I'll tell you about that later. So that's the first rule. So always eat as much protein as you can. If you have to have the pork part, then I would suggest that you go with a less amount of pork and try chicken and or even beef, and just cut off the fat if you can. Third thing is potato salad. That should be the last thing on your plate, and it probably should be the smallest portion. It's just all carbs, and then they're going to add sugar and other stuff to it too. Let's see, what else can I tell you about that? Fruits. Watch out for the fruits, because they'll make a cocktail bowl and you think, oh, I'm eating all this fruit, but they've dumped a ton of sugar in it to add it, make it sweeter, and man, you're just going to eat a bunch of carbs. Make sure you do eat beef make sure you have the beef and the proteins, or chicken or whatever, first in the ovens. It'll slow down the absorption of the carbohydrates, so your body has time to adapt. You think about your body, your carbohydrates as a big tank. And if they're already full and you eat more, all the carbohydrates are going to spill over. Now think about this. If your tank is slightly empty and you slowly drip carbohydrates into it, you can absorb it, because at the same time that you're putting carbohydrates in, your body's using them, so it kind of goes down and stays level. But if you just inject a bunch of carbohydrates in your body real quick, it's going to overflow. Just think of it as if you have a bucket of water, right? So what slows carbohydrates down is the introduction of other foods that are slower digesting, like proteins. So there's your little tip. So always, that's why I say low protein diets are great. It's not necessarily that they're great, it's that when you eat them with other food combinations, that slows them down. Another quick tip I want to tell you, and I'm teaching you more about just food in general. Glycemic index can be misleading because they only test that stuff by itself. So if you were to eat the sugar or whatever by itself, yeah, you would shoot your insulin up and boy, you'd be ooh. But if you combine it with fats and proteins, it slows it down. The glycemic index doesn't register like that. It would not be that glycemic spike. So just a little tidbit there. Stay with ice cream. I'm going to tell you, milk in general is going to slow you down. If you have to have a lot of ice cream, make ice cream the last thing on the list. Make sure the pie is the last thing on the list. Fill up as much as you can. Drink a bunch of water. Continue to drink water and you'll feel full the whole time, and you'll leave and feel better. Bring home leftovers. You don't have to eat everything on the plate. Bring it home. Save it for later. If you break it down to real small portions, you'll be so much better off. So try that. Holiday tips, everybody. Again, let's be accountable. Keep your portion sizes under control. Go crazy with the proteins. Portion control everything else. All right. You guys be great. You can do this. And remember, you have to create a habit. Until you create a habit, it's not going to stick. Create that habit every day, every day, every day. All right. You guys be blessed. Be great. Talk to you soon. Bye. And be safe out there if you're driving.